Somebody that has a burden-bearing gift, they have emotions and thoughts and feelings and ideas that go through them. And if they can't recognize that those things are not their own, they begin identifying with them. And if they own them, they can get stuck. The idea behind the burden-bearing gift, it's one of the words in for intercession. It literally means to pick up and to carry for a time. I can't remember which of the Hebrew words that is, but it literally means that you pick up a burden, but you carry it, but it's clearly delineated. There's a time frame. You don't carry it forever. It's not yours. You're just carrying it for a period of time. And we know that that period of time is unto the cross, that our goal is to take it to the cross. The only freedom that there is through the cross. The only freedom that we have from burdens that we've picked up is in the cross. And so we have to constantly be taking things back to the cross so that there can be that freedom, so that there can be that life. And one of the issues, especially burden bearers deal with, is whatever is already familiar in their own soul is harder to get rid of. So let's say someone is dealing with rejection because they've been rejected in their life, rejected by their parents, rejected by their boyfriend, by their spouse, their wife, their kids, whatever. They've dealt with rejection, and now they have a wound of rejection in their heart, and they pick up somebody else's rejection. It's going to feel very familiar to them. And while it's going to carry the weight of this other person's rejection, it's actually going to carry a deeper weight because that wound in their own soul is not healed yet. And it's kind of like if you have a cut or a bruise and it's not healed until it's healed. I mean, I've got this huge scar right here from where I sliced my thumb open trying to cut drywall. That doesn't bother me at all. But before that thing got healed, man, if I touched it, it hurt. Because whatever you touch, if it's not healed, it's going to hurt. And the burden-bearing gift is the same way, because you're actually carrying certain things. If it's familiar to you, if you've got a wound in that area, it's going to be heavy and it's going to be difficult. And if you don't let go of those gifts, those burdens, it's supposed to be a gift. If you don't let go of those burdens, then what will happen is they get stuck. And once they get stuck, they begin to accumulate weight and will lead to depression. And one of the common things, people that have a burden-bearing gift often deal with depression. It's a very common thing because you've got to let go of that. And it's usually in cycles. The better that you get at letting go of those burdens and releasing them back to the Lord, the less that cycle happens, and it doesn't have to happen. So it's not if you're a burden bearer, you're going to deal with depression. No, that's a weakness. That's not the intention. Burden bearing was never intended to lead us to depression. That's only because there's issues in our own heart. And so you've got to go through the process of inner healing yourself. Now, it doesn't matter, even if you pick up visually or if you pick up through the mind, if you have wounds in the imagination, let's say that you've given your imagination over to evil things, you can pick up things and you'll see things that are untrue, or they'll be twisted according to that old thing. So it doesn't matter what the way that the gift operates, it comes through you. And the shape of your soul will determine the level of flow. You're supposed to be a conduit where spiritual things are coming through you. And if you're twisted in your own soul, if there's a brokenness, if there's an iniquity, if there's a wounding that has not been healed, it's going to distort the flow of what God is releasing through you. And so your words will come across without the same heart that God intended them. Your interpretation is going to be off. Your application is going to be off. You're going to catch those burdens. And this is why it's so important for prophetic people to press in for healing. We call it inner healing. And I say this all the time, but it's one of my favorite quotes of John Sanford. I remember hearing him one time say, some people think of me and Paula as the father and mother, the forerunners of inner healing. And I understand what they mean. I'm just not sure if I like the word inner healing, because it carries this picture of something broken that needs to be fixed. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to help people die faster so that they can have life.
That's right.
What inner healing is it's taking those unhealthy parts of yourself to the cross so that they die, so that resurrection life can come, because you don't want the life that you have outside of him. You only want his life. And he who seeks to save his soul will lose it, but he who loses his soul for my sake and for the gospel's will gain it. So we're constantly, the only place of health is the cross. The only way to be free is the cross, and the cross requires repentance and forgiveness. And that's why no matter what inner healing method there is, if it doesn't include repentance and forgiveness, it's not going to bring long-lasting results. It can't, because only the cross can set a person free. Only the cross can set a person free. It's got to come through the cross. And in Elijah House, I like how Elijah House does it, because they teach inner healing and they teach the prophetic, but they won't teach the prophetic to people that haven't been taught inner healing. And they won't release somebody to do inner healing until they've been through inner healing. Because if you haven't dealt with the issues of the soul, then no matter what the prophetic flow is, it's going to come across distorted, and it's not going to bear the fruit that it's intended to bear. And so dealing with those issues in our own heart will help us to come into that place of freedom. And if we realize that we're continuing to pick up things and they're heavy. I mean, there was a season, I don't remember how many times, Donna may know a couple of times, but I've been in restaurants or different public places, and I just had to leave because it was just overwhelming, because I couldn't let go of everybody's stuff. I'm just picking up everybody's stuff. Like, this person's in an affair, and this person's homosexual, and this person's in greed, and this person's thinking about suicide, and it's just like, and just the weight of it, I just had to get out because I didn't know how to let go, because I was so messed up inside, and I still had areas that I needed to get healed. And once I got those healed, it's easier. And I still find, okay, something's catching. Okay, that thing got stuck. Well, there's something it got stuck on. And that thing is in me, so I've got to figure out, what is it that it gets stuck on, and how do I get rid of it? Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. I mentioned earlier today, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I live in repentance. I try to shape my life with repentance, because I know that that's the key. If I can take it to the cross, I can be free. And the cross is the only place of life, because it's the only place that can truly kill self-life. And I don't want my life. I want his. I've seen the best that I can do, and it was not worth looking at. I want what he can do, not what I can do.